Hey guys, in this video series, I'm going to be covering our brand new native integration with ManyChat and detailing some of the specific action steps you can find inside the app. In this video, we're covering the Seller.Tools counter. I'm going to begin with how you can set this up yourself, how to start from scratch and build out the action steps and the condition steps you'll need, then how to make a few modifications to this if you are editing it yourself in your own flows. And then I'm also going to show you how it's already configured in the template if you want greater understanding and a deeper dive into how we set this up. So let's start with creating our first action step. So the first thing I'm going to do, create an action step. We'll click plus here. I'm going to scroll down to Seller.Tools at the bottom. And this pops up all of the different options of what we can do with the Seller.Tools ManyChat app. So for this video, we're focusing on the counter. So the first thing we want to do is check the value of a counter. And this will pop us into this flow here. So first off, we want to use our live API key. And this is configured in the app settings, which you already should have done. It asks us, when do we want this counter to reset? Do we want midnight or noon? So we're going to choose midnight. And this is the UTC 0 time zone. So be sure to take that into account depending on where you are located. And then here for the counter name, what we're going to do is either type in a specific name that is specific to our product, is descriptive if we're using multiple counters, say product 1 counter. We can just type in plain text here and use a custom value if we want to keep it simple. Or what you can do is use a custom bot field. So if you already have a bot field created down here at the bottom, if you want to choose, let's see, counter name, I already have one. We would want to use a bot field for this. More on this later, but we will get to how to edit and use this. So select your counter name here, whatever you want it to be. And then finally, we are going to set this up with response mapping. So this basically tells ManyChat where we want to send the information that we just got from the API. So I'm going to choose a custom field that I've already created, this counter value field here, and click that to save it. It's really important that we use a number type field here so that we're able to use it properly with our condition steps so that ManyChat recognizes it as a number that can be useful to see if the value is above or below. So one thing that I want to briefly cover is at this time, ManyChat really only allows us to map to custom user fields. So these are going to be specific to each user that's coming through your flow. But what we want to use for our counter, we want to use a bot field. So we have a little workaround that we've created for this that we essentially map to the custom user field in the actual action step. And then just immediately after, we set a custom field and set the bot field, this one, counter value total. We set this value, we use a custom formula, and essentially just set it to the value that we just set. So it's really simple. It really just translates between these two, but this is a short workaround that we have for the time being. So next up, we are going to create a condition step to see if the value that we just pulled from the action step here, if it matches what we want to do in our ManyChat. All we want to do is see if the counter value for the bot field is less than however many giveaways we want to give away in a given day. So say we want to give away 15 products. I'm going to say, is the counter value less than 15? If yes, I'm going to send the user into my flow. If not, I'm going to send them a notification saying, check back tomorrow. However you want to communicate this to your customer, if you want to send them into a loop that allows them to check again, feel free to do that. But, or if you want to just end their process in the flow, that's also an option for you. But the condition step is a really easy way to make this happen. So next I want to cover how to modify your counter if you want to make some changes in the future. So obviously the most common one would be changing the number of giveaways in a given day. So the way that we do that, no need to edit the action step itself. All you need to do is edit the condition step. Say now I want to give away 25 products. All I have to do is type that in and click publish, and all my changes will be automatically reflected. Now, if you do want to change the name of your counter, you can go in here and click on this step to edit it. And all you have to do is type in, say, product 2 counter, and this will change the name of my counter. One important thing to keep in mind here is that when you do change the name, this will reset the value, so you'll end up back at 0. So as mentioned before, we talked about editing the name of your counter if you are using a bot field. This is how we set it up in the template just to make it easier, and so you're prompted to set this up. But the way that you do this is by going into your ManyChat settings. You can navigate there by clicking Settings, Custom Fields, and then we want to go into bot fields to edit the settings here. And the way that we change this is just by clicking this value to edit it. So say we want to change this to ASIN2 counter, and that will automatically push over to our action step. And essentially this bot field just acts as a container for the value that we indicated in our bot field settings. So this should be easy and straightforward, but if you want to keep it simple, I would recommend just typing in your name here and using the custom value. So the final thing that I want to cover when you are setting this up yourself is how to add one to your counter. So if this is already in your flow, say you want to add one at whatever location you want to mark a deal as claimed, we're going to create a new action step, go down to Seller Tools again, Click this button, and then this time, instead of checking the value of a counter, we're going to update our counter. Very similar setup. We're going to use our live API key again. And then here we can choose whether we want to increase, decrease, or manually reset our counter. So the most common use case is going to be increase. You want to mark a deal as claimed. So you want to say, okay, add 1 to my counter for a deal that I've given away. Again, bring in your counter name again, using the bot field or using your own name. And then we're going to map this again. Again, mapping this to the number field. We'll click save. And then we want to set that action step again where we are setting a custom field to the value. We want to set the bot field, this total value, use a custom formula. We want to set it to the exact value that we just pulled from the API. So click value, and that is it. And this just runs alongside your flow. The customer doesn't see anything to do with your counter, but then you can just continue on with your messaging there. So the final thing I want to cover is how this is already set up in our template. This is an example of our flow, so you can download for free on our site. And you'll see that this is very simple and very similar to what we just set up ourselves. So you see here the counter value. We're going to check the value. And here we have the counter name pulled in that is prompted when you are setting up the template. So this does utilize the bot field. You see that we're mapping here to the counter value, and then again mapping straight from the counter value for the custom user field to the bot field with that simple workaround. And then we immediately check to see if the value of that field is less than the number of products we want to give away. And then if so, the user continues on and is able to claim a product and pick their gift card. If we've already given away our max daily giveaways, then they are prompted down here, all the way down here, that we have given out all of our products for the day today. So if we want to check again, this is totally on the customer to check, but they can click check again if they want to wait the next day, and essentially it'll run through that query step again. And then also finally, the way we have set it up is just after their order ID is verified, we add 1 to the counter, and you can see here we are updating the counter and then setting that custom user field value to the custom bot field. So I hope this was helpful and explains a little bit more about how the counter works and how you can set it up yourself and a few best practices that we recommend.